Hello everyone and welcome to another drawing video. I haven't done these in years and I also missed it. I know that lately I've been doing a lot of gameplays. I wanted to content to have like an equal amount of videos in on the channel, and today I drew a reference sheet for my one of my newer OCs, Desmond. And specifically, this one is for artfight. This is extremely last minute. Artfight is in a couple of days from when I'm recording this, and hopefully I can get it out before that because I am also planning to make a lot of videos on artfight and drawing people's OCs. And I thought that I would just kind of talk about the progress here. Before I started recording, I already colored this drawing and I also lined it and sketched it out already. This was an older project that I started and I didn't record like the beginnings of it. And not just because of that, but I generally don't like to really show my sketching progress and my line art progress. I think that sketching is a bit more of like the vulnerable part of doing art because it's kind of the phase where you make a lot of mistakes, there are a lot of imperfections, and I think that is something that's difficult to show because I think that we are more expected to post like finished pieces or like pieces that look perfect. I wish that was different, so in the future I will try to like record more of that progress as well. And also on my social media I have been posting some screenshots of me working on an art piece to again like show those like imperfect stages of doing art, and also so that I can post more because social media really does not like artists when it comes to this, since we usually don't post that much. So now I just kind of started rambling about the wrong thing. Uh, in this video, I just want to talk about my OC first. Desmond is a newer OC and he lives in a fantasy world that I am writing right now, which is called Nalmiri, which is inhabited by two groups of people. One of them are like half dragon and the other one are like crystal people. And he is one of the half dragon ones, so that's why you see that he has his scales and he has the sort of cat looking pupils. And specifically, he is a knight and a librarian. But basically, he is one of the knights to my other character, Arya, who is sort of the leader figure to these half dragon people. And his story is supposed to be that he has like some sort of a crush on Arya, but Arya has this other knight, Lucia, who also likes her. So they have this like kind of weird rivalry going on. But I also don't want them to be like like enemies who constantly compete. Like they do constantly compete, but in more like in a friendly way, right? And they don't look at each other as enemies, and they, although they have like a colleague relationship, but they are still friends with each other, right? So they still care for each other. So at the start of this video, I started drawing the kind of dragon pattern that he has on his cape. And I initially struggled with this, so what I ended up doing is just drawing it on the side, and then once it was finished, I just transformed it. I used the transform tool and just moved it to where it should be and rotated it until it looked right. I always struggle with drawing like a more complex design on clothes because clothes they fold and wrinkle and that can make these patterns look different. So like I said, currently I am working on this reference sheet for my character because he doesn't have a proper one yet. He only has like a rough sketch of him, which you will see me use as a reference for this. And I wanted to give him a proper one because I think that he deserves it. And I want to draw him more in the future because I do think that he's a character that people will probably enjoy. Before I go into a story, I think that I should explain more about these half dragon people, or dragons as they are called in the story. Basically, they are people who used to be able to turn into dragons whenever they wanted to, and this also give them some sort of power. Like each of them have like some sort of unique power that usually connects to something in nature, and they worship the god of destruction in the story. There are basically two gods, the creation and destruction, which is like inspired by this sort of cycle of life, like, like birth or death, and they are supposed to represent these powers. However, a like catastrophic event happened some years ago, which changed their lives, and it made the two people not peaceful with each other anymore. And since then, the dragons, they no longer live in peace with their inner dragons. So basically, if they lose control of it, then they could turn into a dragon and never be able to return to being human. And this would also come at the price of their memories, because seemingly whoever has turned into a dragon before, they don't seem to recognize their like family or friends anymore, and they usually end up flying off somewhere which like no one knows where they are going to. Desmond's backstory is that he used to come from a noble family, but then one of these like mysterious attacks happened, and during that attack, Desmond almost like lost himself to his dragon. He almost transformed, but then Arya was the one to stop him. And later on, he starts working for her, and then she asks him to become one of her knights, who are not just knights to her. They are also like the people who she trusts the most, and they are also expected to give advice to her when she is feeling lost about something. But when he's not doing his like night duties, he is in charge of taking care of the library, and that's why you see him carrying a book. But he also carries that book because he likes to keep track of things. He likes to write things down that he thinks are interesting and things that he doesn't want to forget later on. So earlier I mentioned how he almost lost control of his dragon, which is the reason why he has those large scales on his face, and also why one of his arms is entirely covered in the scales. And one of the other side effects of that was that he just has long nails all the time, and he does cut them often, but they grow back really quickly. And earlier I mentioned that these people have some sort of magic power, which comes from nature typically. And Desmond's power is basically time manipulation. He's able to reverse time for a few seconds at a time. And that's the concept that I based his weapons off. So you see that he has a longer sword and a dagger. And these two weapons, they have inverted colors, and they are inspired by the handles of the clock, I think they are called. I could be wrong. And that's why you see a small clock on the dagger, which is supposed to be a nod to this time manipulation power that he has. One thing that I haven't mentioned about this character yet is his name, Desmond. It's supposed to be a reference to two medias that I really enjoy. One of them is Assassin's Creed, where in the older games, the modern day protagonist is called Desmond, and if you have played the game, you know that he uses a machine to look into the memories of his ancestors and essentially like goes back in time in that way. And the other media is the TV show Lost. If you have seen it, you know that there's this character called Desmond, and he also goes through like a bunch of time travel shenanigans. And I thought that it would be funny to also name my character Desmond, who also has these like time related powers. By the way, I am still trying to find the perfect way to do these videos because I want to involve you in the progress and I want you to like see what I'm doing, and I also want to talk about why I'm doing the things that I'm doing with each drawing. But also, if I were to just leave the drawing part unedited, then the videos would be like hours long, and I don't think that anyone would sit through them. Like even just this video, which like I did not record all the parts of the progress, is still like 2 hours and a few minutes long, unedited. So right now I'm just experimenting with speeding it up and seeing how that works. I only put it on 2 times speed because I think that it makes things a bit faster, so like less boring to watch. But also it's not too fast to the point where you can't clearly see what I'm doing. So yeah, just let me know what you think of this kind of editing. If you would like it to be a little bit faster, or maybe I was also thinking of speeding up certain parts and then slowing down some of the other parts to it. So like I mentioned in the beginning, this reference is being made for Artfight because I am participating this year. I also been participating for I think 5 years. Like I think that this is going to be my 5th year, but I could be wrong. And I want to ask you guys if you are also participating in Artfight this year. Basically, if you're not familiar, it's described as an art trading game, but that's not entirely accurate because with the art trade, when you're doing an art trade with someone, you expect them to draw something for you back, right? But with art fight, it's more of like an art giving game where you just draw people's characters, and if they draw something for you as well, then that's cool, but it's never expected. And so it's basically that concept, right? It's supposed to be giving art to people and also receiving some back. And it's got this like fight aspect to it, which is a bit hard to explain. So basically, there are teams. Usually, there are only two, but this time there are actually three. And you join one of these teams, and when you draw someone's character, you can upload it on the site, and based off of how much effort you put in, you get points. And these points are added together, like all the team's points that everyone on the team gets. And basically, whoever gets the most amount of points wins that year. So there are absolutely some people who like go crazy for these points. Like they really set the goal to win that year's art fight. But for me personally, the goal is to draw for as many people that I can. And specifically this year, my goal will be to draw for characters that have no drawings yet. And to even like try to find people who are maybe like entirely new to art fight and haven't received a single attack is going to be my goal to draw for these people. And also I think that it's really interesting, like when you're looking at art fight and you're trying to gather characters who you want to draw. I think it's really interesting to see what characters people come up with. Like there are a lot of OCs that have like these really thought out lore to them, and I think that is so interesting to read people's ideas and like how they portray these ideas through a character. That's probably one of my favorite parts about art fight. So definitely let me know if you have heard of art fight before, or maybe this is the first time you hear of it. And if you are joining, then let me know which team you're on. Me personally, I am on tragedy. The three themes right now are tragedy, comedy, and mystery for the people who haven't heard of it yet. I was really debating on joining comedy because, like, it just sounds funny. I ended up going with tragedy purely because I prefer blue over orange. But you might be asking, if you're making a reference sheet of your character for people to use that as a reference when they draw them, then wouldn't you want to like not shade it? Which is true. But what I like to do is, just draw the character with like all the effort, like, with all the shading and stuff. And I pick the right colors and then put it next to the character so people can still reference that. Also, another project that I have been working on, which is related to my OCs, is a Google document where I combined all the lore and all the characters, backstories, and all these things. I used to have them just on Character Hub, which is the site that I like to use for storing my OCs and showcasing them. But then I realized that if you are not a user of the website, then you actually can't see those links, which is like the only thing that I dislike about that site. So because of that, I started working on a document where I just combined everything that is on there. So that's why I wanted to make a separate document that anyone can access, which has all the stuff regarding my OCs. And it's still very bare bones at the moment. I haven't done much to make it look nice, and the information is also like very, I would say, bare bones for now. But at least the basics are there, and at least they are accessible easily by whoever would like to view them from artfight or for like any other reason. And another project that I want to work on is a booklet of this word. Recently, for one of my unique classes, I had to make a booklet using InDesign, and I didn't really like InDesign. I don't really like the Adobe programs in general. I have beef with them, to be honest, but the classes were so good basically that they made me like InDesign, sort of. Like they made me like it enough to want to make my own project in it outside of class, right? But that's still probably far away. Currently, I'm writing just the text part of it. I'm thinking of having it in both English and Hungarian, and then after the text, I would make some drawings of it, and then after the text, I would make some drawings to include in it, or maybe even some collages. And then I'm thinking that maybe I would print them, just at least a few copies to have, and maybe like a few more copies to give to friends or family or something like that. It would basically just be for personal use, and also maybe I would share online a digital version of it for anyone to look at. But the problem is that I am not sure how much it would cost to like get it printed. I will definitely have to look into that. I met a lot of design students who, work with these Adobe programs, and I have seen the projects that they have to do. And yeah, they are not cheap, especially the printing part. So I am a little bit worried about that being too expensive. I also have another similar video coming up, which is of me drawing my other OC Eden. And I'm thinking of making it like a similar format to this, where I just like talk about her and the lore. And I eventually want to make this into a series on each character, where I just draw them and talk about them and make it into like this commentary style video that you can, like, of course, you can watch the art, you can watch how it's made, or you can just put it on the background and just listen to it while doing your own thing, which is typically the kind of videos that I enjoy. I feel like my goal with YouTube has always been to make the videos that I like to watch personally, which is why I have been leaning into more gameplays because I like watching gameplays. Um, but when it comes to art, I used to do like those, like, I guess, older style speed paints of like making the video like 5 times speed and then putting Nightcore under it and then making it no commentary. I used to watch those videos a lot and I really enjoyed them, but I recently rewatched some of those videos that I used to enjoy back in the day, and I realized that I struggled to pay attention to them. And on one hand, I think that this is most likely due to short form content and the effects it has on attention span. And my motivation for creating videos and art has always been to base them off of things that I already enjoy. So I decided that content like this would probably be better to do. And I feel like that for this, maybe short form content is to blame, definitely. But I feel like that with these videos, they could potentially appeal to more people because, like I said, like some people maybe are here for the art, or some people are just here to hear me yap, which luckily I love to do. So I feel like a lot of people can enjoy this type of content. And after all that yapping, I realized that I completely forgot to talk about what I was supposed to talk about, which is my art progress. So earlier you saw me painting the scales. I used two different brushes. I used my line art brush and then I used my painting brush to paint some highlights into it and some of the like darker shaded spots, and also to add a second bluish colored light to it just to make it seem more like scales, like the scales that you would see on a snake, for example. And then you see me doing the background for this. I decided that I wanted something like the Art Nouveau backgrounds, but a little bit more minimal. I didn't want it to be that detailed. So I went onto the Clip Studio SS store and I found some brushes that I thought would look good because they had this repeating pattern to them, and I just decided to use that for the background. And then you'll see me adding these little drops of color next to my character, which are like the base colors. This is what I mentioned earlier. That's what people can use to color pick the right colors, so they don't have to worry about the whole thing being shaded. But I also made two versions of this, and one of them is like just the character. It doesn't even have the background. It's just a transparent PNG that I can use for other projects, like the booklet that I talked about. And the other one is the one that you see on screen and the one that you saw at the beginning of the video. And here I also use an auto action that I also got from the asset store of Clip Studio. It's basically a sticker outline. I don't use that many auto actions because I haven't really gone out of my way to look for them, but this one I really enjoy and I actually use it quite a lot to add a little outline to my characters. And I also use this to add a little outline to like the color drops. But that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching all the way. If you want more of my art, you can check out my Insta. I recently made a Kara as well. I also started posting on Tumblr, so you can find me there. And I hope that you will come back for the next video as well. Bye!